Hello, everyone. I'm Chestic44, also known as Fly, and welcome to this Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity 2: Deadfire. Last episode, we went and explored a bit more of the Sacred Stair. Specifically, spoke with all the people in the Temple of Gon, helped Jyoti out with, easing her burden a bit, although she's still having bad nightmares, and helped Adair find out that he probably has a kid. That's a little awkward. Anyway, we did a bit of exploring, went around through all this side, and now we're going to take a look in the Temple of Barath, which seems very fitting considering we're supposed to be her herald. Let's see what happens when we walk into here.
No problem.
Amulet of Health. Long incisions along the corpse's stomach and chest provide access to the organs.
Sure.
The tablets hold the tale of Kahopa and Tangaloa devouring creation at the very dawn of time. An ailing Amawa priest regards your approach with curiosity. He coughs into a sleeve stained with a spatter of silvery flecks.
Come closer to the altar. Come inside. The temple welcomes all to worship, most especially you.
The priest peers knowingly at the center of your chest, lips curving an ardent smile. Hands trembling, he touches a length of chain around his neck.
I ask only for no talking. Not until we pay our respects to Berith, to Rikuhu. Let us pray.
He bows his head. We'll bow our head.
Deity of life and death, the endless devourer who encompasses all existence, hear this prayer, this voice chiming. I beseech you, Kahopa and Tangaloa, to ready this shell for sucking. Purify my soul in preparation for the coming of the next cycle. Digest all of my devotion. Swallow my sorrows, even the smallest swell, so I can be spit on the morrow. And Rikuhu, Barath, my god and goddess both, the eels that churn in ceaseless cycle, the new and the next, and...
From life to death to life again, blessed be, an end. Nodding fervently, he accepts your ending to the invocation. He presses his hands over the center of his chest, touching the item tucked beneath his shirt. Then, raising his head, he cracks a frail smile.
All right. I will address your inquiries best as I can. So ask.
So, what was that about preparing your soul for shucking?
End of the turn. I'm nearing it. Been working hard, preparing for weeks. You know, to die. But first, I've got to leave guidance for my apprentice, the next in the cycle. Chosen to lead.
He sweeps a hand toward the stone tomes piled across the floor. You're dying.
Been wasting away for months. Can't say it's been easy, dying so soon. I thought about stopping a few times.
Why would you want to die soon?
Maybe you can see. I'm no death godlike. Berith bestowed not one in my generation with a chime. Not the next, neither. A flawed messenger like me can't open the crypts. So my best chance is to die.
Well, that's... oh boy. Tell me about the writing on these tomes.
Liturgies. Instructions for ritual preparations. When and how. Sermons. Some histories, too.
His fingers trail carefully across stone as craggy as his skin.
All of this, it's our knowledge has gleaned through centuries of service. Now, I've got to leave it all behind for the next disciple,
Well, it is an impressive altar. What else can this temple boast?
Under the temple, carved in the mountain's caverns, lies an extraordinary maze of catacombs. So I've read. They're the Hanging Sepulchres, burial place for ancient Wana chieftains. The bodies are protected by Bereth's best, roaming always. Plus, the ways sealed by the deity itself.
His words catch in his throat and he curves forward in a spine-racking fit, hacking until he's flush-faced. Fumbling a goat-skinned flask to his lips, he drinks until minnow-silver liquid dribbles over and slips his chin.
Better.
He wheezes, wiping a palm over his chin.
The timing's getting tighter. And there is one thing before the end. Something only one touched by Bereth can do.
You covet something in the catacombs, the ones you can't access because you lack Bereth's chime.
That's right. I've got no hope, but you do.
He tugs at a chain around his neck.
My eels, my infinity coil keeps rattling. Pendants resonating with your chime.
The priest presses the palm of his hand into the front of his chest. He stares, scrutinizing your face. He shakes his head, disappointed.
The coil resonates, but it's weak. You could unseal the way, but you'd die inside, I think. My chance would be lost then. Lost with your remains. Not just anyone can escape the Hanging Sepulchres. Alive.
Kith bearing Bereth's chime are rare. This may be the only chance you get.
My time's waning fast. Right you are on that.
He sighs, wavers on his feet. He releases his grip on the pendant with a feeble nod.
I best not let this chance pass. There's a sacred text. The eulogy to Isaiah. It's been buried in the catacombs beneath the temple for centuries, next to his champions. I need it. Of course, the tombs, they only open to the dead, for those bearing Bereth's chime.
Why do you need Aser's eulogy?
It never was added to the tomes, but it holds the final clues for my death. It's my best chance. I prayed for decades, night to day and night again. Now, here you are, just in time. Means Bereth sent you to see to my success.
I have some questions about Aser and the catacombs beneath this temple first.
I'll tell you what I can.
What's the story with Aser?
He's no Wana, nor a death godlike neither, but he was a high priest of Bereth. His hair was a Diran, a hunter, chasing the undead 200 years ago. Read somewhere, one tome, he sailed to the Deadfire for a weapon, abhorrent to Bereth. Said the blade held a power most fearful.
The priest's face flushes with fervency. His voice rises in volume as he speaks until his breath catches and he doubles over into a hacking fit.
Isaiah fought hard for it, won the blade, but suffered grievous wounds. Bereth kept him alive till he could make it to the temple's catacombs. His champions were the ones who wrote his eulogy. Later, they were buried in the sepulchres too.
How do I enter the catacombs under the temple?
You've got to go outside, on the lower walkway. Doors sealed up tight, though. Priests before me, all death godlikes, could open it. Door requires a coil, resonating with Bereth's chime. But I haven't met a death godlike in my time.
I'd like to know more about the Hanging Sepulchres.
They're from the long-forgotten time, when there was only Wana living in the mountain. They got carved in even before the temple sprung up. The before there was Nekataka or a queen. They're well guarded, because not all of Barath's dead like the rest in their graves.
All right.
There's something you've got to know. Or I guess I've just got to say.
The priest bobs his head. From beneath his shirt, he untucks a stone-carved circlet in the image of an eel. The pendant vibrates on the length of its chain, thrumming harder the closer he holds it to you.
You're my best chance. Or only, maybe. Take the coil. It'll open the crypts. Bring me a sayer's eulogy, and I'll teach you all I know of Barath's arcana.
You mentioned something about our undead in the catacombs.
Dead with their souls, they roam still. The ones who were chosen by Barath. Not everyone's born so blessed. Sometimes, instead, you've got to die for it.
To die to be blessed, that's an interesting choice. So this is a temple to Barath, right? So who's Rikuhu, Kohopa, and Tangaloa?
The same. Your word, Barath. Our word, Rikuhu. We worship the twin deal. The cyclic connection of the overworld and the underworld. Life and death. Life is Kohopa.
Ah.
Tangaloa is death. Born starving, they devoured all living things, swelling larger each. When they'd swallowed all of existence, they tried to eat each other next. Now all things pass through their entrails. The end of one enters the mouth of the next, from the underworld to the overworld and back. Again and again.
So they're literally basically eating each other's shit. That's unfortunate, but thank you. I am curious here, because we have so many quests. That is way too dangerous for us. That's basically what, yeah. This quest is at least 4 levels higher than your character's current level. Failure is all but assured. So yeah, I'm not gonna be doing all of these. I mean, once I eventually go out, I will go for the ones that I can deal with. Yeah, at or below my character's level. 1 is 1 level higher than me, 2 skulls is 2 levels higher, 3 is 3 levels higher, and any higher than that is just no, not gonna happen. So yeah, that ain't gonna happen. So we'll leave that alone and not go in yet. But there is another location in the Sacred Stair that we can take a look at. And I think that's where we're going to go next. Specifically, the Spire of the Soul Seers. Let me drop a save before we go up. Alright, let's see what's going on in the Spire. No idea what could be in here. Animancy.
Why not?
Gotcha. Thick treaties on the variety of animancy-related topics clutter the desk. The ledger contains a meticulously logged list of names, dates, and measurements. And then we can go up to the rooftop. Alright. If that's all we got here. An addendum to the Lantern of Gone. Oh, a luminous Audra pillar. Ah, okay.
Merla. Burned. Well,
Idwin, eh? A note is scrawled into the margin between diagrams. Increase current. Lightning? A steady, white-haired elf frowns down at a table covered in coiled copper wires and glimmering shards of Audra. Her gloved hands smooth her well-tailored Valian coat as she mumbles under her breath. Apparently absorbed in her work, the Animancer doesn't acknowledge her presence. Clear your throat. The woman spins on you, blinking rapidly behind a pair of brass-rimmed spectacles. Her bright carmine eyes and paper-white skin mark her as one of the Glomfelin.
Hello. My apologies. I didn't see you there.
Her Aediran bears a clear, crisp, but difficult-to-place accent. The pale elf examines you warily, unease clear in the set of her shoulders. Are you all right?
I am fine. Is there some reason I shouldn't be?
One of her pale eyebrows arches. She tugs at her gloves and looks away from you. Calm settles about her like a burial shroud.
Which is not to say I do not appreciate your concern. I do.
She settles her spectacles on her nose. As she does so, you notice her hands shaking.
I, like the other scholars here, am engaged in the study of the soul sciences. Was there something you needed, or may I return to my studies?
Her thin lips settle into a crooked smile. As she speaks, a drop of blood rolls out of the elf's nose and drips onto her lips. She pulls a handkerchief from her coat pocket and wipes away the blood without a word. You're bleeding.
Indeed. I apologize if you find the sight of blood unsettling. Though, from your appearance, I would expect you to be well acquainted with it. In any case, why are you here?
How did you come to be in Nekataka?
It is a mundane story. I sought out the ship with the longest oversea route departing from the Republic's Endbook Passage.
Though her words are flat and her voice affectless, Idwin is not calm. She shifts her weight from foot to foot and looks anywhere but at your face. She has the restless, nervous air of a horse about to bolt.
I had intended to perform a handful of experiments regarding the nature of souls that could only be done safely at sea.
I know of no animancy that must be done strictly at sea.
A fellow researcher. Then perhaps you will understand.
She steeples her fingers and gives you a sly smile. I'm not gonna like where this is going, am I?
I've long been fascinated by the nature of entropy. Nothing is unaffected by the passage of time, excepting souls. Supposedly.
She smirks.
Is it not possible that repeated reincarnation damages a soul? Could the process of reincarnation itself be responsible for some of the many ills that plague the souls of Kith? I deduced that it was possible to escape the cycle. Escape Bareth's grasp. To remove one's soul from the wheel.
I'm afraid that went right over my head.
I suppose I was wrong to expect more from you.
She heaves a great sigh and straightens her cravat. Well, stop dancing about the questions. Tell me what's going on.
If you insist.
She takes a step back at your sudden request and clears her throat.
With the aid of a device of copper and Audra, I have uncoupled my soul from my body, freeing myself of Bareth's wheel. I belong only to myself now.
Pride girds her voice. And what possessed you to do this to yourself?
My body and soul are my own. Why should I not do with them as I wish?
She squares her shoulders and fixes you with a glare. I mean, I would argue that by disconnecting yourself from the wheel, you're technically giving yourself over to Rimmergond, the god who is literally entirely about just wiping everything and destroying it into dust and nothingness. So technically it's still not your own. Ha!
Who are you to say?
Idwin's carmine eyes cling to you, mouth set into a small frown. Well, I'm something of an expert on the subject of souls.
How so?
I'm a watcher. I see into the souls of others, and if necessary, pass judgment on what I find there.
Truly?
Her brows rise high on her forehead. She leans toward you, her eyes fixed on yours, suddenly intent.
Tell me, what do you see when you peer into the souls of Kith? Do you see their misdeeds? Their evil thoughts? Their unkindnesses, perversions, cruelties?
She blinks, frowns, and breaks eye contact. It's more along the lines that I just see random thoughts that happen to come up that are usually relevant to whatever I'm trying to do.
I apologize. I have always felt a kinship with your kind. Having witnessed the very worst in Kith has left me keenly attuned to recognizing ill intent.
She quickly shakes her head.
Perhaps you would be amenable to me traveling with you on something of a permanent basis?
What can you do for me?
This blade is not merely for show.
Her fingers grace the basket hilt of the rapier slung at her side.
There are no end of swordsmen in the Deadfire, though, right? I, however, possess some little sway over the minds of others.
She grins wolfishly. And why do you want to travel with me?
I have a vested interest in Luminous Adra, but acquiring it here can be expensive.
Understandable.
You have a ship of your own and are clearly well-traveled. I suspect I would encounter more Luminous Adra with you than I would on the streets of Nekataka.
Well, welcome aboard.
Truly?
She blinks, her mouth hanging half open.
I just know we're gonna be the best of friends.
Jody thrusts her hand out to enthusiastically shake Idwin's.
Thaklat, traveler. I am grateful.
She clasps your hand in hers, pumps it quickly, and releases. After a quick pat-down of the various pockets sewn onto her coat, Idwin nods sharply and rests a hand on the hilt of her rapier.
I have all that I need. You may depart at your leisure.
Her lips curl into a coy little smile, and she says no more. So she can be a cipher rogue, a cipher, or a rogue. Well, we do kinda need a rogue, so I'll go ahead and take that. That'll be fine enough for me. I am not going to take you with me at the moment. We'll investigate you later. So what else is around here?
Sure.
The hum of the machine dips into a lower tone whenever someone stands within arm's reach. From her unkempt hair to her agitated pacing, Flaw Nillette gives off an air of restrained chaos. She waves you over with a few quick motions.
You don't mind if I talk and work, do you? What can I do for you?
She turns away to scrawl a quick note. Oh, you work here?
Not the coziest place for it, is it? But the open air, the lightning specifically, is a boon. Lets our mages have a rest now and then. Good test of the equipment too. We're working on making it less delicate. Our junior researchers are still a little soft.
She laughs. What are you working on here?
Glad you ask, Amika. Very glad. We are very excited about the work here, and we are always looking for volunteers. We've catalogued a number of interesting properties unique to Luminous Adra, but there are some very specific qualities we are investigating. Qualities that a Watcher happens to be uniquely suited to exploring. You're just what we're missing.
Is it dangerous?
No. Well, yes, what isn't? But not exceptionally dangerous. Luminous Adra has special effects upon Kith. Even to the humblest, it offers some small improvements. Rejuvenation, vitality, the kind of thing you sell to people back home, eh?
Ah, that explains a bit about why it's so valuable.
But what about those who have already harnessed their own essence? Consider the talented cutpurse, for instance, who can cross a room by slipping briefly into another place. The world between. Luminous Adra holds enormous quantities of essence, the kind of energy we can't replicate or restore. And these formations have a kind of connection to each other, across the in-between. I believe we can harness this connection and your natural abilities to transport a person across great distances in a moment.
Your theory is sound. I've used the Adra to track someone before.
Oh, good. You've done some experimenting on your own. A curious mind is a happy mind, I say. Can't mope about ghosts all day. We've collected a number of illuminating readings, and our machines are ready to harness the Adra's essence. But for the moment, we are effectively blind when it comes to targeting the next pillar. Now, if someone were capable of sensing that essence in the in-between, even of manipulating it, someone like a Watcher, for instance.
You want to use my connection to the Adra. I could target a specific pillar.
Precisely right. We've had luck with shorter jumps, but those were as much spellcraft as science. The idea is for you to focus on the next connection point. The machine will use that new link between the Adra veins to create a tether, as well as provide the energy for you to jump effectively. What's really exciting is, so long as you are holding that connection open, your companions can jump alongside you.
Or they could hold things down here, make sure it's safe for you to come back.
The next pillar's due east of here, in the middle of a farm. It's not as tall as this one, but you shouldn't have any trouble finding it. Oh, and don't worry. We paid the farmers.
And what if something goes wrong?
There was that fellow that jumped a little too far over the edge.
Stop scaring our assistant.
I'll need to take care of some things first.
We'll get everything ready for you. Come to watch us work?
By the way, can I ask you some questions?
Sure thing, Amika. Comes with the job, doesn't it?
Your accent doesn't sound very Valian.
Well, a few years in a deer will do that to you. Up to your armpits in jungle mud, insects, and snotty nobles.
Which is why we stay indoors and take up civilized habits. Like proper enunciation.
Wow, Aloth, really? Animancers weren't very popular in the Deerwood. Do the Huana give you trouble?
Oh, things are much different here. The Huana may not have the same passion for the field as the Republics, but we understand we're doing research, not sacrificing children to wolves or whatever it is the Deerwood believes.
Oof.
So, no riots. Fortunately, news out of the Deerwood doesn't mean much to this lot.
Flawn winks to undercut her meaning. Seems like a strange place to run experiments.
It took us a few months to adapt. A few bad shocks too before we finished proofing the machinery against rain. I like to think it lends it all a little drama, no? Besides, how better to honor Helia than with invention?
Probably by treating animals properly.
For now, nay?
By the
trouble
way,
if you think of anything
Jody
else,
has some
Amika.
souls she'd like to give you.
Luck might be a strong word for it, but I'll do it. If you can meet my conditions.
Surly, she crosses her arms over her chest.
It's a thoughtful gift? But why? What has brought this on?
Gon has shown me the coming end. Darkness will fall upon Hell, beginning an extended season of death with no rebirth for any of us.
Alright, I knew I shouldn't have asked. How do you fit into this, Watcher?
Let's see. Jody's a soul reaper. She can gather your lost souls into her lantern and deliver them regularly to you.
But only if you promise to treat them well. Ensure their cycles continue in the natural manner.
Right. You do realize that the essence isn't actually a... Never mind. Thank you, Shodi. I promise to treat them with dignity. We can... put them in this device over here.
One last thing. How much is this gonna hurt? No, wait. Don't even tell me. Just lead the way.
Alright. Shoulders squared, Jody stalks up to the gleaming copper and Audra repository.
You ready for this grand merger of faith and science?
Alright.
Animancers, if you got any energy vision goggles, you might want to don them now. And if anyone's afraid of a little light show, I'd suggest you take a healthy step back.
She rubs her hands together, drumps her palms against her hips, and snatches up her lantern, eager, ready. She wriggles her shoulders and pops her neck, stands subtly widening. I'm ready to be impressed.
Then keep your eyes peeled, cause it's gonna happen
She snaps her fingers.
fast as a fire beetle flash. The Audra will snatch them right quick once I conjure the light. So don't look away.
As she exhales those last words, she presses one palm flat to the cold bronze in Audra repository, fingers trembling, and like a firework going off, the light from her lantern flares blindingly bright. Electricity, no, hypercharged soul energy, whips across the air, lashing open Jody's skin. Traveling the pathway of 1,000 branching veins and capillaries, the strike bursts Jody bloody from face to neck to arms and lower, and she screams, her voice a secondary crack across the sky. Release the souls!
I swear to the gods, I'm trying.
The words rattle from between clenched teeth, ripped from her convulsing body, but she doesn't let go of the Audra that's searing her palm. The lantern trembles so violently it nearly cracks, but then a massive wave of purple essence rushes from the lantern. It swirls up and around the Audra, crashing along the glimmering surface before being sucked inside. The Audra pulses brighter, then darker, then even brighter, blinding. There's a howling. Then the Audra cracks and a jagged shard tumbles to the ground.
Ugh, son of a god's darn motherless cur. That hurt worse than a back-to-back whooping from Uncle Angbert's quarterstaff. Hell, and I only gotta do it again and again on cycle until the day I die?
If serving one's god was always easy, everyone would do it.
I never did want to take the easy route. I'll keep reaping more souls then. Do my duty till I fall to dirt and bones. Never you worry, though. I'll see to dumping my lantern in the future on my own. Thank you for finding me a way to handle my burden, even if it does involve the occasional jolt of pain.
Chest heaving, Jody scrabbles for the Adra shard embedded in the ground. The crystal slick with blood from her palm, she shoves it into her pocket. Then she shakes her head.
Darn if I don't feel so light I could float away.
Jody casts an odd look to her darkened lantern before turning you a whimsical smile. It looked like it hurt.
Never felt anything so painful in my whole life. I don't know if this is what Gon planned for me, but I'd like to think we did right by these souls. We're bringing light to the darkness. Ensuring spring follows the coming fall.
She dusts her hands on her hips before setting off at a determined clip. Alright. Well, that's good on her. Luminous Adra Mantle. Perhaps it could be used to improve Jody's lantern. Can it now? The Light of the Dawn Star. That's what it does. Gives nearby allies a chance to resist incoming spells. It also costs 3,000 gold. So, we're going to be holding on to that for now. I'm not going to do any upgrades right now. I don't think I have... yeah, I'm good for now. Alright. And with that, I am going to have to end this episode here. Not the stream, just the episode. Next episode... Well, with this region, with the Sacred Stair completely explored, it's time to look at the area to the west. And we'll see what we can find. Also, what does she have? She has lower perception and shock armor rating. Blech. She'll be fine. Anyway, that'll be in the next episode. So, until then, I'm Chester44, also known as Fly. That is Laniara, Adair, Joti, Aloth, and Seraphin. This has been a Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. And I shall see you all next time.